Welcome to Workin' Wednesday, 7th graders. It's week 9. This is your instruction video for how to do your Schoology homework. We're going to be in the textbook on page 321. We're going to be looking at a diagram in the textbook, so it might be helpful if you have your book to also look at it. I have a copy of the picture in this slide and on the Schoology assignment, but still it wouldn't hurt to look at your book. I'm going to explain everything here. And just a reminder that everything still needs to be submitted through that Schoology assignment. So I'll explain how to get to that Schoology assignment next. Okay, so you're going to log on to Schoology or Coology. No. Log on to Schoology, go to My Courses, find our science class. It should look something like this. I'd like you to hit Materials, which is circled in red, and I want you to scroll down to the very bottom of the page. It should look like this. Click on Week 9 Groundwater Map. That's our homework, and that's where you're going to find what to do and also 2 maps to help you answer the question. The maps are also in this video, but, you know, I don't know, maybe you want to look at the pictures more. If you just take a look at our work from week 7 and week 8, you might feel like something's missing. That's on purpose. There was no quiz for week 8 because my computer broke, so please don't feel like you're missing anything. But there will be a quiz this week, unless my computer breaks again, but that would be terrible. Okay, so what is your actual homework today? You're going to use the map on textbook page 321 and the text below to answer the 2 questions. So the first question I'd like you to answer is list the countries or continents that have the greatest groundwater resources. So we're going to look at the map, and I have some labeled countries and continents. It was easier for me to label some places as the continent and some places as the individual countries. And I want you to tell me which has the most amount of groundwater resources. I'd also like you to answer the second question. The country of Bolivia in South America is landlocked, meaning it doesn't touch the ocean. Based on the map, do you think Bolivia can access fresh water? Explain why using the details from the map. So these are the 2 questions that you are submitting back to me. Let's talk about what you need to get full credit for this assignment. You need, first off, a list of countries and continents that have large amounts of groundwater resources. Now, this is a list, so it doesn't have to be a complete sentence. You just list things off. But for the second part of the homework, I do need a complete sentence to explain if Bolivia, country in South America, has access to fresh water. I'd like you to use the sentence starter. I think Bolivia, and you'll fill in, has or has not access to fresh water because the map shows that blah, blah, blah. So you need to fill in something that supports your answer based on the map. Okay? And this, I'm sorry, I have to. If there's a place you gotta go, I'm the map. Use the map, use the map, use the map. All right. My nephew's really into Dora the Explorer, but he doesn't call her Dora, he just calls her Dose. Okay, just again, work must be submitted on Schoology. Now, maybe you keep hearing me say groundwater, 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 and you're like, I don't know what you're talking about. Don't worry, don't fret. I'm going to read the text that you need to read in order to finish the assignment. So we're going to do that next. Okay, here's the text that's going to help you better understand your homework. Groundwater is a type of fresh surface water that is found trapped in rock layers. Humans can use it for drinking and cooking. Groundwater is a resource that is not evenly distributed around the world. A groundwater basin is an area where a large amount of groundwater collects. A shallow aquifer is an area where groundwater doesn't flow very deep into the rocks and can easily be lost by water evaporation, which is water turning into liquid gas. Okay, here's the map that we're going to use for our homework, and I'd like us to pay extra attention to the key, which I just put in, or I put a yellow star on. So I've got 3 things. Let's start with the purple square. The purple square is going to represent major groundwater basins. What does that mean? Well, that's going to be an area that has lots of groundwater. Now let's compare this to the white square, so that's the last one, it says local and shallow aquifers. And if you remember from our text, an aquifer, an aquifer is shallow, so that means the water is not very deep and it's going to easily evaporate. So those areas are going to have less groundwater. And for the middle one, the green, complex hydrological structure, I don't think that's very important to the questions that we're about to answer, so I'm going to get rid of that. And also, since the question asks us to find places that have a lot of groundwater, I'm also going to not pay attention to the cream or white areas. Okay, so we're just going to focus on the purple areas because the purple areas are going to have a lot of groundwater. All right, so here is the map again, and on this time I have labeled some countries and some continents. So remember, I want a list of countries and continents that you think have a lot of groundwater or a lot of purple area. Again, this is on your page, textbook page 321 if you're having trouble reading this map. If you are just using the video, I suggest you pause it and always feel free to rewind if you need to listen to something again. Okay, moving on to question 2. If you remember question 2, the country of Bolivia in South America is landlocked, meaning it doesn't touch the ocean. All right, so here is the continent of South America. I zoomed in on our map, and we are talking about the country of Bolivia. So I have a picture there, and I also have it circled in yellow. In the yellow circle, so you can tell exactly which country that we are looking at. So Bolivia is in the yellow circle. I also included the key, so you can interpret whether you think Bolivia has a lot of groundwater basins or not so many groundwater basins. And here's what you're answering. Based on the map, do you think Bolivia can access fresh water? Explain why using details from the map. So now you know where Bolivia is. You can interpret the map to say if it has groundwater basins or if it doesn't. And you're going to explain to me, using at least one detail from the map, why you think Bolivia has or doesn't have access to fresh water. And remember that Bolivia is landlocked, meaning it doesn't touch the ocean. All right, and I'm also going to give you a little hint since you guys were so good in watching this video. Think about whether the ocean is freshwater or saltwater, and think about what humans can use, freshwater or saltwater, to cook and eat and bathe and all that jazz. Okay, guys, if you have any questions, let me know. This is a little tricky assignment for you guys today, so I don't expect that you guys are going to be perfect at it. So please let me know if you have questions. All right, I will see you tomorrow.